They say really understanding something is being able to explain it simply to anybody, right? I got a call this morning from one of my students and said, dude, I'm kind of lost in Agile. Explain it to me like you explain it to a 9-year-old. And I did my best and took a swing and explained it, and I think I cleaned it up. The next thing I wanted to do was explain it to a 9-year-old. So, hey, what's your name?
Henry.
How old are you?
9.
You want to learn about Agile?
Sort of.
All right, cool. Move up a teensy bit so they can hear you. All right, we're just going to have a conversation.
Yeah.
What? You've heard me talk. You've heard me, talk to people all the time.
Yeah.
You've heard the terms Agile before, right?
Yeah.
What do you, in your words, what does Agile mean?
I'd say Agile means like a quicker process of getting certain things done.
Ooh, what makes you think that?
Because Agile is like the word agile, which means like quicken.
Yeah, that's beautiful. All right, cool. So why do you think why would somebody want to do that? Like, why would they want to use Agile, like the way you think about it?
To like speed things up so they could create more things, so they could get more income.
That's good. Yeah, they can make more things. And then let's think about, like, you like to build what? Like, you like to build Legos, you like to build blocks, you like to build stuff, right? How do you go about the building process? Like, how do you go? Do you or just explain to me, how do you build?
I just sort of get a picture in my mind, just sort of start building things. Like, it just pops into my head and I just build it.
That's awesome. So you have what in your head? You have a vision in your head? You have a picture? Mm-hmm. How clear is that picture?
It's not that clear. It's not going to be clear to my final project because I have limited resources that are not exact to what I actually want it to be.
Oh, that's interesting. So you have a vision of what could be and would be cool, but you know that maybe I don't have exactly all the pieces that I need.
Yeah.
And then you don't have all the time, and maybe you don't have the skill, and then maybe, like your vision changes or gets cleaner as you move in there. Now, what happens? Because you couldn't achieve that vision of like the perfect in your head, do you give up?
No, I just accept the less correct vision and say it's good.
Okay, that's cool. Now, all right, so we have a vision in our head, and in Agile, we start everything with a vision, all right? So it's the same thing like you're doing. Like, we have a vision. I want to build this cool thing to make somebody happy, to solve a problem, to do something. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're an Agile thinker from the beginning. Now, from that, as we go in there, what we do, would you take, if there was 2 paths, and you're advising people, in path 1, you have a vision, is you'd say, let's take a notebook and let's write down every single thing we need to do from the beginning to the end and all those plans and all those details, and say we're building a big machine or a big Lego thing or whatever. Would you recommend that they write down every single thing from here and fill up all these pages? Or should they take a smaller approach and do a couple things and learn from that? Which one would you want them to do? The long list or the short list?
Short list.
Why?
Because it'll take a lot of time, and if you have like lots of things, it might pressure the workers, and there might be a lot of mistakes because there's so much.
Okay, so by shortening up, what are we allowing ourselves to do?
Do it in less time.
Right, and might we actually be learning? Because we're going to start building some stuff, and what do we find out? When you start building something and you have a vision and you start putting the pieces together, what do you usually find out as you get a couple pieces in there?
Probably like there's a missing piece that you can't find or you just don't have, so you have to find something to substitute.
Oh, yeah, so you're making adjustments as you go, right? Same thing in Agile. If we're building a computer program or we're doing something else, we're going to take our vision and we're going to break it down into small little chunks. We call these chunks stories. Okay? And we'll take a little card like this and we'll say, hey, Henry, you have the vision, sir. Tell me what these are. And you say, oh, it's got to have this functionality, this story. It's got to be able to do this. And you write it down, a little chunk of work. What's this called again?
Agile?
But I said the thing where you write it down, you chunk it up. It's called, starts with an S?
Small.
Story.
Yes.
It calls a story, right? A user story. So we have a little thing that we write down, and we start making a list. And we say, oh, that's a really cool thing that we could do. And then we take another one, and we write it down, and we say a little cool thing we can do. And so what we do is we pile those up, and we say, which one should we do first? Right? So we take all these ideas and we rank them and we store them in a thing. Because we know we have all these ideas. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
What would you call that little thing where you store ideas?
Probably, like an idea vault.
An idea vault. Dude, I love it, man. An idea vault. What we call it is a backlog. But your name is way better, dude. An idea vault, okay? And so with the idea vault, how do we put things in the idea vault, or how do we organize them in the idea vault? Should it just be the first idea you come up with, or what?
Probably like from the most important ideas to like the base structures and to like the little tiny details that really don't need to be added.
Oh, dude, so you're going to order and rank those things from top to bottom in your idea vault or the product backlog, right? All right, cool. Now imagine you have this big long thing. You've got a vision. I'm going to call you the product owner. That's what they call it. Like the person that's got the vision, it's got everything. And you got this big long idea vault. You got all the ideas. You rank them. Now, how do you get it done? Like having a long list of ideas and stuff that you said you want to work short amount. How do you go about and get that done? You got to do what? Don't overthink it.
You got to like go and like just find everything you need, like people to build it with the right skills, the materials.
Yeah. Keep it going.
And like the proper equipment.
Yes.
The place.
Yes. That's good enough, dude. So what do we think about? Like you said, like, hey, we got this long list of things, and these are the ones at the top that we want to do. And then you're saying, boo, I can't do this alone. But I don't just want to pull random people. I want to pull the right people, right? The right skills. So you're looking at the work, and you're saying, what skills do I need? I need a builder. I need someone that's good with the structure. I need someone that's good with these kind of tools. And I need to set the environment up so that they can be successful, right? Now, in Agile, we call that a cross-functional team.
Cross-functional team.
Does that make any sense? You can tell me no.
It actually, the name sort of makes sense because cross-functional team sort of means like, in my head, sort of like everything is sort of going together, like everybody's doing the work into one thing. Yeah. Yeah,
they're all like from different places. They all have their own little skills, but they're all working together. Now, if we had a team and they were your team and you wanted to build something super duper awesome and you had the vision and they were cross-functional, if you walked into their workroom and it was going badly, like they weren't working the way you wanted them to do, like what would it look like? What would it feel like? Would they be working together, or would they all be working like alone? Like how would a bad team look?
Like working alone, like not getting stuff done.
Not doing stuff, goofing off, not sharing, not going like in those learning things and cycles and sharing ideas and building, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So let's think about what we got now. We got a visionary who's got an idea, his name is the product what?
Product manager.
Product owner. Product owner. We're getting there, dude.
Owner.
All right, and you got that idea log, right?
Idea log.
But what do we call it? We call it a product Backlog. Nailed it, dude. And we organize that based on whatever order that we think. Like some of the stuff we might have to do the structure first because it makes more sense. And then we put the stuff at the top, right? And then we build our team based off that to be like, dude, we got to build structure, or we got to build that. So we got to build a what type of team? Starts with an F.
Functional team.
Nailed it, dude. And so one of the things, we got a cross-functional team. And they have this weird concept called a T-shaped person.
T-shaped person.
Okay, what does a T look like?
A T, it's basically just like
a line on the top, right? And along there. So we say if this is person, like this person has one deep level of experience, like maybe they're the best person in the world as far as like building Lego structures or organizing this or working with gears. But they also have a broad, like a little bit of understanding in some other things. So that they have that. So we want to try to build T-shaped people, like super deep in one thing, but able to communicate, like I just failed to do, with other things. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah.
That's cool. So if we have a bunch of those people, they stick together and they work together, right? Now, we said we don't want to plan forever and then just throw it out there. What should we do? How long should we plan for? Little chunks or long chunks or what chunks?
If you should plan for like once you should plan. You shouldn't like set yourself for like a time limit because you shouldn't pressure yourself so ideas don't really come out.
Ooh.
So just do it till like enough main ideas are done. Then once you're building the product, you can add little ideas to add to make it better.
Okay. I love that. So on the back end of that, you said you're going to do something, and then you're going to add ideas and ideas and ideas. They call that iterative. Iterative. That means one after another, we're going to add iterative like functionality or products on there. So that makes sense. Now, I got to push you on one thing, okay? You said don't put time limits on things.
Yeah.
Why not?
Why not? Because it might pressure the workers to like go in like ultra like pressure mode.
Okay.
So it's really hard to work.
All right.
Yeah.
And that would be bad.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you another thing. When I watch you do homework, when do you start doing your homework? Be honest. If the homework's due Friday, when do you usually start?
Today.
What day is today? Thursday?
Yeah.
The day before it's due, right?
Yeah.
Well, if I gave you to the next Friday, when would you start that homework?
Probably probably like in the middle.
Yeah, like the next week, right? So you would put it out. So the only pushback I would have with you is to say, I understand entirely that we don't want to put ridiculous pressures on our people to say, you've got to do this all today. But what we want to do is we want to set to say, hey guys, we're going to work for a certain amount of time. Let's call it 2 weeks or whatever. We're just going to chunk it up that we as a team are going to work together for 2 weeks. And we're going to say, we're going to bring in a couple of these items that fill up 2 weeks worth of work. And we're going to work together and collaboratively and excitedly and, share. We're just going to work for 2 weeks and then we're going to stop. Because we need to get it done in 2 weeks and then we're going to learn from it. Would that help, or do you still want to just let them have as much time as they want?
That'll help because you can't having too much time might give them a bit time to get a bit cocky. So you don't want them to get a bit cocky and not fully do everything.
Right. Now let me ask you. So we're going to set a time limit. They call that a time box.
Time box.
Okay, so you see it as hey, we're going to lock ourselves in to work for 2 weeks, and we're only going to do the first couple things that we as a team think are most important, right?
Yeah.
So how do you know how much to bring in to this time box? Who should make that decision? The visionary guy or the team? Or should you do it together? Who should make a decision on how much work to commit to during that 2 weeks?
Together, because the project owner has the vision, so he knows or he or she knows what they're going to be doing, basically knows what they're going to be doing, and the workers have their limits, so you can work with the workers to go with their limits to manage a perceivable time.
Oh, okay. I like that. Now, when you think about if you have a vision, we want to build this cool arch in Legos and we want to have a gear that turns this thing to open and this door and whatever, and you have this beautiful vision, but you have these Lego workers. Who better knows how to actually make that gear spin and the thing go up and the blah, blah, blahs happen? Who would know that? The visionary or the workers?
The workers.
The workers, right? So you're right. Initially, you said, dude, when we're taking that list of the backlog and we're breaking it down into what we're going to do over 2 weeks in that little box that's called a what kind of box?
A time box.
Nailed it. We need to have everybody involved. We need to have the team, right? We're going to call those developers. And we're going to have the product owner, and that's the visionary person that knows what they want. Now, so they work together and they say, hey, I understand what you want, Mr. Visionary. We as the people kind of going to ask you some questions. Well, how do you want the bridge to work? How do you want the gears to work? How do you want that? And you push back and forth and they go, okay, we can commit to this. We can pull in these things and we can build this over 2 weeks. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so they have a goal at that point. They call that a sprint goal.
Sprint goal.
So that 2 weeks is a time box, but we call it a sprint.
Sprint.
And sprint makes you think of what?
A sprint makes me think of like running.
Running. But here's the little tweak on that. We want it to be a jogging pace. Because how long can you sprint?
I like not really that long. Like keeping it max speed, I'd say about like 10 seconds.
10 seconds, and we got more time to work than that. We got to build a bridge, right? Or we got to build a Lego thing. So we can't just sprint once. We got to have a sustainable pace, right? Because we got to work all year long and next year. Because what'd you say? We're incrementally building this product out. So our sprints, we break them up into 2-week chunks. But the pace is not like, the pace is like steady and repeatable so that we can learn and build.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So in the perfect world, come on in, man. Come on in. Look at the picture. You're doing great. The perfect world, we have the product owner. We have the other, what do they call the team? What do they call them? Cross-functional team, but they start with a D. Developers. Now, if those people are working together super duper great, that's awesome. But how often do you think that the product owner and the team and everybody works it out because they're all busy and they all have their own responsibilities? Might it be good to have someone in there that's like, hey guys, let me help you get better at your job? Would that be helpful?
Yeah.
Yeah. What would you call that person?
Maybe the
Yeah. They have a name, but I want to see what your name is, dude. You came up with the idea vault. What name do you have for that person that's like looking at how people are working together and saying, let me help you guys collaborate better. Let me see if I can break down the walls that you guys need. Let me get you the materials that you need. Let me make sure these things let me pave the road for you. Let me help you out. What would you call that person?
The project collaborator.
Ooh, dude, you are like a maestro with words, brother. A project collaborator. Because their job is what? Like, if you wrote the job description for a project collaborator, what are the things you want that project collaborator to be doing?
Probably like collaborating with the developers, like saying like, okay, there's a bit of this doesn't seem like it's really straight on to the vision. It seems a bit off and it doesn't really make that much sense. So how about I give you sort of like what does work and what doesn't to help you out.
Yeah, and it's kind of like being there. You're moving out camera. You're doing great. We're going to call that person the Scrum Master. You've heard that term.
Yeah.
Where'd you hear it?
You?
All right.
A million times.
A million times, yes. So the Scrum Master. So we got 3 roles. And this whole like agile way to go through with the little chunks of work, the 2 weeks, we call that Scrum. Scrum. And the Scrum Master is kind of helping everybody build the better way to work and work together better. And they have no power. They have no authority. They're not like, whoosh. They're trying to coach people and guide them and ask them questions, right? And they have a servant mentality. What does servant mean to you?
Servant means like somebody that is that wants to like work for you in a almost constant pace, like doing lots of favors, like almost unintended.
Okay, that's reasonable. So they are there to help make you successful, right? And they're working for you, right? And so that's what the Scrum Master does. It looks at the developers. It looks at the product owner. It looks at how everybody's working together. And also, if we're in a company or an organization or a family, they'll look outside and say, do those people understand what we're trying to achieve? Are they helping or hurting? Could they collaborate more? Are we showing them what we're building to get their feedback, right? Like they're just trying to grease all the wheels and bring them together so that we can have a better way of doing it. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
And then at the end of the day, if a Scrum Master's successful, everything, all the gears are working together, all the people are working together, and all they do is smile and walk around and maybe encourage people, and that's it. But it's a very hard road to get to that point. But it's worth going down, right? So let's rehash. We had the big product vision. We had the 3 people. The 3 people in the organization are what? The
developers.
Yep.
The Scrum Master.
Nailed it.
And the And the project owner.
Product owner.
Product owner.
Product owner. Now, and we're going to work in 2-week chunks, which are called what?
Time boxes.
Time boxes, and they're also called
Sprints.
sprints. Yes, and this overall method that we're going, this framework is called
Scrum.
Scrum. Nailed it. And then as we get in there, what we do is the first thing that we do is there's like a mechanism. There's like meetings. There's like there's like a pace to this. Things that we do. Like the first thing happened, then this happened, then this happened to like keep it going. It's like a ball that rolls downhill. Okay. So there's a couple different, what they call them, ceremonies or meetings or get-togethers, whatever you want to call them. Now, the first thing is where the product owner brings that idea vault backlog, whatever you want to call it, product backlog, and says, yo, this is what I want to accomplish. Here's the goal. The team goes, okay, help me understand, back and forth. That's called sprint planning.
Sprint planning.
Because we're planning for the sprint. At that point, say you're the product owner. Hold your little backlog. And you're saying, I want to do this. This is my goal. And then me as the team say, okay, we'll do these things. We break it down and we start to plan how we're going to do it. Now, that's the first thing, sprint planning. Now, from that, the team gets super excited because they get to go work and build, right? That's the thing that you love. Now, should we just say, the team's so beautiful, let them go for 2 weeks. We'll see them in 2 weeks. Let's go off and dream about new dreams and go drink Coca-Colas and have candy and see them in 2 weeks. Should we do that?
No.
Or why not?
Because they might get like bit off a branch and get like a bit like full-fetched ideas that are like totally unnecessary.
Okay, so if they come up with new ideas, like they start working and they're like, oh dude, this opens up a door and I can get all these ideas. What should they do with those ideas? Who should know about those awesome ideas that they came up with?
Probably the Scrum Master and the product owner.
Nailed it, brother. And so the product owner would put those ideas in what?
The idea vault.
The idea vault, which is also called the
backlog database.
It's something like that, product backlog.
Oh,
yeah.
backlog.
So yeah, but they're not going to do if they're big ideas. We've already locked down for 2 weeks what we're doing, the team. So they got like, oh, I got this awesome idea. Give it to the Scrum Master, give it to the product owner, put it on the thing. We'll do it later, but we got to do the things that we said we were going to do, right? Now, collaboration, super important, right? We got to work through problems that we find. We got to come up with creative solutions. How often do you think the team should meet?
I'd say every 2 days.
Every 2 days. Why 2 days?
Because you can
Come in closer.
You can let them work for like one single day, and then you can check up, see how they're going. Because like they'll probably develop an idea in about a day to add, so you can check off if it's a full-fetched idea or like a reasonable idea.
Oh, that's reasonable. So you said 2 days. Well, the way they do it is they do daily meetings.
Daily.
At a minimum. Now, the dudes can get together, the developers, and share and build, and you want them to collaborate as much as possible. Not too much, not too little. Kind of like Goldilocks, right? But like they say dailies. And then what they do is they get around, they look at the work, and we try to make the work visual, and we'll talk about what that means in a second. And they discuss it, right? And the meeting is all about the team. The team's going, okay, I'm working on this. Here's how it's going. I need some help, like doing this, and here's what I'm doing next. And I see some problems. Can I get a little help here? And you on the other team might be like, oh, dude, I've done that before. I can help you out or whatever. And so they're getting around, standing around daily, working through things. If you had to name that meeting, what would you call that meeting?
The project meeting.
The project meeting. They call it the daily stand-up.
Daily stand-up.
All right, cool. Come a little closer. And what they really do is it's for the team to collaborate and kind of like plan and make micro commitments to each other to be like, yo, I'm working on this. You're working on that. Let's make sure that we work this together. I need a little help. And for them to like, as soon as they have a problem, raise their hand and say like, dude, I'm stuck. I got a problem. I need some help. So that's setting up little baby chunks so they can move through. Do you think that would help us build cool stuff?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So we're going to do that all through the 2 weeks so we get closer and closer and closer. Now, at the end of the 2 weeks, when we made something, what do you think we ought to do with that thing that we made?
Probably like test it.
We should definitely test it, bro. Yeah, so like before. And then like, because if we build something and we don't test it, what might happen?
The customers or the consumer might not like it.
Yeah, and it might not work and do all those things. So like we have to have it on the team go, yo, when we say we're done with something, it's got to be tested. We got to make sure that it works well. We got to make sure all that stuff. So we call that, this is detailed stuff right now you walked into. It's called the definition of done. It means like when you say you're done with your part of the work and I say I'm done with my part of the work as team members, we have the same level of agreement. Like that means we've tested it, we've really made sure it works, we've documented it, we got it good so that you can be sure that I have finished stuff and I can be assured that you've finished stuff. Now, as we get to the end, say we built this little castle, this little engine, this whatever, who should we show it to?
Probably like we should show it to like somebody that like is really knows a lot about like this certain topic, so they could rate it, and then you can get somebody that knows nothing about this topic, and then you could sort of get somebody that sort of mildly knows the topic but doesn't really like understand it. Then you see what their like ratings are. So to decide if like we should change this or that.
Yeah, they call it customer feedback, right? Okay, cool. The other person on our little team, remember there's 3 little roles or responsibilities? What person should we show that, dude, here, we built this for you in 2 weeks? Which person in that little triangle of people should we show it to? Because it's their thing we're trying to deliver. What's that person's name?
The product owner.
You nailed it, brother. You nailed it. All right, so come on a little closer. Don't get scared. Like you're doing great. The product owner. So we go in there and we call that a review meeting or a demo or anything. But the real purpose is we want to do inspection of the thing that's built.
Yeah.
So we want to say, hey, we built this, we tested it, we feel like it's good. We want you to put your hands on it, Mr. Product Owner. We want you to push on it and see if it works to solve the problem that you wanted it to. Does it meet your vision?
Maybe not.
Maybe not, right? Those are the answers. And so you'll get ideas and whatever. And if we get new ideas, they go back in the backlog. If we prove it, then we can push it out and like put it into practice. Maybe there's something that we can actually give to the customer now that would make them happy or that we learn about, right? We could do that if they get approval. And so after that review meeting, we're going to get a lot of learning and open. We might have customers in there. We might have the product. We definitely have the product owner in there. And we're going to learn. New ideas go back to the backlog, and we might push it out. Now that thing, that little chunk of work is called an increment. Increment. Like, yeah, that's what they're chunk. Like, boom, and it goes out. And we want to incrementally build the product, right? So like increment, add up to like the full thing, right? And like a bridge, it's hard to deliver part of a bridge, right?
Yeah.
Because people go swimming at that point. But if it's an IT product, like a game or something like that, what happens with your games all the time? They have new, what do you call them?
Ideas.
New ideas and new releases.
Releases.
Right? So we might pack up a bunch. Think about what's your favorite game online?
Favorite game online, I'd say
Roblox. Now, Roblox is constantly evolving, right?
Yeah.
So what do you think they use at Roblox to build Roblox?
To build Roblox, probably other customers' feedback. That's basically like how Roblox works. It's different for other games, but for this certain game, it's different because it's built by random people across the internet.
Okay, you're right. Yeah, because they incrementally build. But like, what's in Minecraft? Like, right? Or Astroneer or all these other games that you have. I bet you that if we went to their headquarters, their developers and tech teams would be operating with Agile. And I bet you there'd be developers. I bet you there'd be product owners. I bet you there'd be Scrum Masters galore. And I bet you they'd be working in sprints. Do you want to see if they do it?
Sure.
We should look it up, dude. Let's call somebody. But then we go through. So as we go through this, what have we done? We have a big long list that's the product backlog and ideas keep rolling. But then we have a sprint planning session. The ideas come in. The developers go there. Toward the end, we have something where we do the daily stand-ups, right? And then lastly, we're almost done, Henny Bear. And like at the end, we do a review. And then there's one more thing. If we wanted to kind of pause after that little 2-week chunk and we want to try to get better. What would we call like a little meeting where we, all of us in the team, get together and look at ourselves and try to get better at doing work? What would you call that meeting?
The self-explanatory meeting.
Why would you call it the self-explanatory meeting?
It's a meeting, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's so you basically explaining yourself to other people, so other people can try to like have some ideas to improve yourself.
That sounds good, dude. You know what they call it?
What?
A retrospective.
Retrospective.
What does retrospective mean? Any idea?
I do not know.
Guess. Make it up. What do you think?
Retrospective.
What does retro mean?
Retro. I do not know.
All right, I'll let you have it. Retro means looking backwards, and perspective, like how you look at things. I'm not good at English, but all we're going to do is, like you said, self-examination or whatever. We as a team are going to go, let's look back over the last couple weeks and say, what could we have done better? And what did we do super duper good to get better? And then we say, oh, let's pick one or two things and let's try them. And let's try to get better. Because this sprint happens over and over and over. And by doing that, we can incrementally build our product. We can adjust it. And everybody who has those roles has their own responsibilities. The developers take the stuff and make it happen. The visionary, the product owner does that. And the Scrum Master keeps everybody working together. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
How would you explain Agile? Give me a high level.
High level. Okay. Agile is basically a way of working with the product owner, the developers, and the Scrum Master, which each have their own role, and they work together. And the developers are basically just the workers.
Yeah?
The Scrum Master is the person that sort of like comes around and helps out people understand, or like like that.
Beautiful.
And then the product owner has like the vision that like helps keep everything together, so nothing is like full-fetched or like really off topic.
I love it. And we try to create something awesome for the customer.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they call that value.
Value.
And that's what we're trying to deliver.
Yeah.
So we'll go through some more lessons. I think you did amazingly. You want to take the PMP tomorrow?
Okay.
We'll see. We got to get you a little bit more experience, but we can do it.
Yeah.
But Henry, I appreciate everything. It was super fun to teach you, and I learned as much as you did. So thank you very much, Buddy Bear.
Okay.
See ya.
Bye.